Hey Fearless Gamers, James from Fearless Games here, and I wanted to do a video on bases. Bases are an important part of miniature wargaming. When you paint up a model, you put all this time and effort into it, and then just to see it slapped onto a base with little or nothing done to the base, you know, it's kind of a little bit of a letdown, I feel, because you're not truly showing off the model's potential, I feel. And the thing about bases is they're pretty much involved in all aspects of miniature wargaming in one form or another. I really have yet to see a game that doesn't have a base in there somewhere for a model to rest on. Now, the thing about bases is they can really kind of make the model. I'm not the best painter in the world, but when I put together a decent base, a well-done base with my average painting, it makes the model pop a bit more. It makes it look just a little bit better, I feel. Likewise, you can have an amazingly painted model. You put it on a plain blank base like this guy here, and it's going to take away from it a little bit. You're going to look at it and go, that's a really cool looking model, and it's really well done, but it's just that, a model on a plain base. It doesn't really give the illusion of being in the middle of a battlefield, which is the whole point of these bases. You can flock them up, put material on them, paint them up, and you can have your guy look like he's in the desert, or look like he's on a moon, or look like he's trudging through the trenches, stuff like that. So the first thing to take note of is bases come in different shapes and sizes. And with that being said, you should know what base your game requires that you're playing, whatever it may be, because chances are if a model requires a base, it's going to come with it. Like with circular bases, like we see here for the most part, there's this style, and then there's more of a rounded lip type of style like you see in Warmachine and Hordes. There's also square bases for things like Warhammer Fantasy. I think a couple other games utilize a square style base. Battletech, as you can see it from this guy here, utilizes a different shape. It's a hexagonal base. So really it all depends on the gaming system, and it should provide you with the base or with a very clear picture of what the base looks like so you can pick one up should it not come with it. For example, Battletech models do not come with a base, but the company that makes the Battletech models also sells bases separately, so one thing to take note of. So with that, let's look at some of the basics. Bases, like I said, they kind of make the model. So with that, we're going to push these out of the way, and we're going to look at the models close up. We're going to start with the Chaplain from 40K, which is a sci-fi themed game. So with that, you have a base here. It's got some height to it, with the piece he's standing on being just a little bit taller than the flock around it, and it's painted up to look kind of Ashen or Urban Rubble styled, and it gives the model kind of a setting. You get a feel for the model more so than just being a model, and it kind of completes the illusion of this Chaplain, wading through the battlefield. Now we also have this Timberwolf, Smoke Jaguar Timberwolf. It's based up as well. Now it's not quite as three-dimensional in the base as the Chaplain bases, or Chaplain's base was, I should say. This has some sided grass and foliage clump effect on it to kind of give it some 3D pop to it. Really, it's just some basic flock painted up, and then the model's legs are weathered a little bit to kind of blend it into the base, to make it feel like it's been trudging through this land for a little bit. So with that being said, those are just some examples. Let's look at the standard bases that you probably see that come with most of the miniatures that require bases. And if it's requiring a circular base, and this style of circular base, chances are you've seen these already. This is a blank base, and this is just another blank base with a slot in it. Now there are two differences for a reason. Pewter models, and I've seen some resin models, a lot of them have a little bit of a tab underneath the model. That's to sit into this little slot here. That helps the support of the model. It's got a little bit of it going through the base to kind of support it. And if you turn this base over, you'll see it's got a little bit kind of walls going on there that when you glue it, it can adhere to it. And that's why that slot is there. It's for those style of models. Now, of course, if you have a model that doesn't have a slot on it, you can still go on this base. It's just you'll have this slot to deal with when it comes time to base it up. This one is designed for standard models. Even models with a peg, you can just make a hole, drill a hole in the base for the peg to sit into. With that being said, the only difference, like I said, is shape and size of the base. So that's your standard base. But some people, and this again being a basic basing thing, like to have bases ready to go. Just gotta paint them up and go. And those are usually called resin cast or textured bases. Here are 3 examples, different sizes. Now the one all the way on the right is not resin. It's plastic. It's from the Warhammer 40k Dreadnought kit. And what we see here is these bases require no additional flocking, no additional effort put in to make the base. All you have to do is paint it up. And that's the thing with bases, is a 2-stage process. First you make the base itself, put the flock and different bits of material on the base. Then you paint it up. So this has one step completely done. Now the pro about this is it's pretty quick. All you gotta do is paint it up and you get a pretty nice detailed looking base that maybe you can't reproduce either on your own or easily on your own. The con is, for example, this Dreadnought base, this is the only style of base, unless you get a flat regular base of this size. And a lot of other themed resin bases have only a few different styles from whatever company you're buying it from. The upside to that con is there's a lot of different companies out there that offer the same theme, let's say Urban Rubble. And their Urban Rubble will look different from different companies' Urban Rubble, but it'll fit together. So you can get different looking bases that way. Because some companies may only make, 5 different style of base for that particular theme. And if you just use those over and over and over again, you're going to get some repetition that may take away from the overall kind of feel a little bit. It's all personal preference at that point. So with that being said, when you base your model, you can base it up to be just with flock and some static grass to give it a look. This was a base that was used, so the parts here was where a model was. You can do that. You can add some texture to it, some spackling paste, or use some green stuff even, add some little bit of pebbles and different rock bits and different size flock together to get kind of a textured base, and you can see it just gives it a little bit more going on than just a standard base. Or you can use plastic card. You get textured plastic card. This one's like deck plating, and what this gives you is a base that you can make up on your own, add to it, but it's a great foundation and it's pretty quick once you get the shape cut out. Lastly, we have big bases. Bases you make custom on your own. And you would do this one of 2 reasons. You have a big model, like let's say a defiler, a soul grinder, some other big style of model that doesn't normally need a base. And you don't want a base for gaming purposes, but you want it on a base to fit in with your army on a display board or just a display itself. You can make a base like this, and that's what this base is for, is to display. I didn't make this base, but that is what this base is for. It's actually a 6-inch circular plaque you can get from an arts and crafts store or even like a hardware style store. With flock, bits, and static grass on it. Or you can use the base as a means to set your model on, and it's going to stay there permanently. Now the bigger your base, usually the bigger the model. And with that, it's easier for bigger models to be heavier and taller and everything to break off their bases. So I highly recommend you pin your models to your base if you're going to start going huge like this. For example, this chaplain is pinned to his base, and he's a small model. It just helps support the model and keep it on the base. So that's pretty much it. Hope you've all enjoyed this little kind of rundown of the different bases out there. Really quick and dirty kind of thing, just to get the information out there. One last thing of note, real quick, if you see no other videos on bases and you're going to start jumping in and making your own bases, just be extra careful. If you're going to use static grass or foliage clumps or anything like that, you add it last. After you're done with all your painting and washes and whatever it is, add it last. You don't want it to get unnatural sheen if it gets like a clear coat on it, or you don't want it to get stained and look weird unless it's what you're going for. So I would add it last. And with that being said, I hope everybody enjoyed. leave some comments if you have any questions or anything like that, and I'll try my best to get back to you as quick as possible. I will get back to you, it just may take a little bit of time. And the next basing video I do will probably be on basing materials itself, things you can put down on the base to start painting it up. So, until next time, Fearless Gamers, take it easy.